Should men be allowed to legally marry more than one wife?
We're here at the African Festival of the Arts to discuss the issue that has been talked about across this country.
According to the latest statistics, in many parts of the United States, single women over 40 outnumber single men over 40 by more than 3 to 1.
Here's what I see. I see more of a communal relationship here. And you could call it wives, you could call it whatever you like. But it's 4 sisters, 5 sisters, 3 sisters, whatever it would work, that have the same like mind, that understands that our goal, as other cultures do, is to build our community. We're the only people that don't do that.
Research shows that the most significant factor in the life of a child is not race or family income, but whether the father is at home.
You know, I'm telling you, it's a very powerful thing that people just commonize. There are other plausible points of views, and these are things that we should be looking at.
82% of teenage girls who get pregnant come from fatherless homes.
I try to follow the Word of God. It hasn't always been easy. I was very promiscuous. I was married. I've been divorced. But I decided to turn it over to God. Now, if I'm going to follow the Bible, it's a bunch of garbage for me to be out here sleeping with anybody that's not my husband. Because I believe that God made Adam, and he can make a man for any woman that prays to God and ask him.
85% of all youth sitting in prison grew up in fatherless homes.
If you're trying to solve the problem of not enough men dealing with young boys out here, is there an easier way to distribute male influence? I mean, have them join the Boy Scouts, have them join the men's ministry, have the single men and even the married men in the community work with some of the boys that don't have those men at home.
90% of all homeless and runaway children come from fatherless homes.
Some people are coming here from Asian, African, and other countries where it's permissible to practice polygyny, or what's considered a man legally marrying more than one wife.
I'm from Nigeria, I'm from Africa. I have a friend in this Chicago that the father had about 5 wives, and they have about 18 children altogether, and they are like the United Nations. We have some in Greece, some in the US, some in Europe, some everywhere. And you need to see them network. You can't come close to them.
What do we do about the fact that there is an overabundance of women and a shrinking number of available men because of the current war and some of these past wars that have taken away the men in our community?
Though this may work in countries like Ghana and Muslim countries where they've had thousands of years of this is America, Chicago. We haven't played that.
We're talking about the female solution. How do we bring good, God-fearing men into our homes and into the lives of our children who don't have fathers?
You're saying to have a godly man in your home, for the man to be the head of the household. But how do you feel that it's godly if a man has more than one wife, and head of the household? Because how can he, have time to give love to everyone else, of all the women, instead of just that one person? We need to build our community. And in my mind, when we build our communities, we're doing it from a whole holistic perspective. So it's just not about the wife thing. It's about everybody. It's about finance. It's about well-being. It's about building the community.
It's nothing too hard for God. You don't have to share your man with nobody. Never, never, never. God didn't intend it. He said, let the man marry and be the husband of one wife.
The thing is that either way, if you look at it from a numerical perspective, let's take the emotion out, okay? Because anybody can get emotional about anything. That doesn't solve problems.
So how can we keep the men godly? How can we keep the women godly if women are in competition with each other so tough that they'll do anything to get the man? And our daughters are watching us. We look at these women on BET. I'm sorry, sisters, they're imitating our desperate behavior. They see us fighting over these men. And they say, I'm going to get me one. And they shake everything they got. And they will get a bed partner, but they don't get a good husband. Because we have not made a social system where men are being trained to be husbands.
Personally, for me, I'm not going to fight over no man. The only man I'm going to fight for is God.
All right.
And if I want a certain man,
I'm going to stay in the Word of God, because He will give me the desires of my heart. And these women that you say that are out here fighting over the man, and that's not, or you're talking about being spiritual, that's not being spiritually. That's your flesh.
I don't think that a man, the way we're put together now, can handle giving an equal amount of affection to multiple women. Somebody's going to be starved for something at some point. It's not going to be fair at some point. I don't think women are built to handle that either.
Let's be real, sisters. It really comes down to women thinking, I don't want no woman having sex with my man. Marriage is about family. Being able to coordinate who drives the kids to school, who helps them with their homework, who empties the garbage, who pays the bills, who sits down and writes out the budget, who vacuums the rug, who does the thing, who walks the dog. Family. Who cooks the dinner, who washes the dishes. Family. We look at sex because that's where our insecurity is. If I let this man have sex with this other woman, he might like her more than me. That's what it was in our hearts. That's what we got to let go.
We got to turn back to God. He said, if my people would just humble themselves and pray and seek my face, He said, then that's when I'm going to heal your land. If there are 100 women and 30 men in this park right now, and we've got a marriage, we can marry them right now. I don't care how much God you have. If you didn't get one of them, what God gonna do? Now that's just a logical mathematical equation. Let's just say this is basic math. So you gonna pray and what? If the selection process has been done, it's been done. So from a numeric perspective, we outnumber these men, and we need to understand why we're doing that.
These are things that we should be looking at, because he owns a business here. His children are growing too now, and one of his brothers in Japan. They're everywhere. In Nigeria, they're everywhere. They are just industrialists, and they are pulling together and doing a whole lot of things. And they are Christians too.
I agree with the African brother. I think it works. But when we take it from a biblical perspective, and you've got sisters who saying God is going to give me my husband, I'm going to be okay. I kind of thought about Malcolm X saying, if your religion isn't working for you right now, you need to put it in the closet and let's all get together for the main cause, which is to build our community.
Yeah, it's logical, like the sister said, the 30 to 100 ratio. But in the end, logic and numbers mean nothing when you have to face emotion and hundreds of years of mindset.
We need to understand from a numeric, just very basic. Forget about the prayer, because even if you getting something, you say, God gonna look out for me, you still being selfish. What about the other sisters? So we're talking about God, but then we're being selfish for ourselves, saying, oh, God will take care of me. But you're supposed to be praying for everybody.
Anything that you share that you love, you can only share if God gives you enough love to share, whether it's your car, your house, your food, something that you want to keep to yourself, but you know others need. You can only share it if God gives you the spirit to share it. Otherwise, you can't do it.